Okay, hello everyone. I got asked an interesting question that is sort of outside my field of expertise, outside anybody's field that I know of expertise, but it was such an interesting question, and of course I wanted to post everyone's question because they're all good. So the question here involved, let me just make sure I get this right, the pricing of graphing calculators, right? So those fancy ones you get for maybe math or engineering class or whatever, has been constant, it seems, the terms of price tag over the last 10, 15, 20 years. Actually, I remember getting one for physics stuff, and I believe they're about the same price still today. So why haven't they come down? Of course, everything else has, right? I mean, now calculators like you used to get, you would ask people for, they not give away free. In fact, the only place I found these non-fancy ones is a regular old calculator. So I got to get them in the grocery store. Nobody else even bothers to sell them. Right? And I mean, they're ridiculously cheap. The guy's like the same as a pen. Right? So what's happened? Why is that? Well, that is a good question, and not one that I have an answer for. Now, certainly, you would think the electronic components, the memory, the chips, the processor speeds, or processor chips, the box, the body for it, the same thing to make these cell phones out of, etc., should have all come down in price, which should bring down the price. So the real question is, economists might be, well, then why hasn't it? Why hasn't that happened? Certainly markets function, don't they? Well, they do, depending on what type of market it is, which we'll talk about near the end, in the second half of this semester. But let me just say this. The answer to that question is going to depend on several factors. Supply, demand, and alternative markets. First of all, alternative markets. I don't think there's been a big change in terms of people having good alternatives or substitutes, if you will, in the traditional sense of the word, for these graphing calculators. People can do that for regular calculators, right? Their watches do it. My cell phone has a calculator. This computer that I'm recording on has a calculator function, etc. What it does not have is the fancy graphing calculator. I can't start putting in differentials or integral and getting a mapping of that kind of stuff out, etc., etc. There's software out there for it you can download, which certainly would allow it to. It'd be cheaper than buying a new calculator, but it's not a substitute. Secondly, at least I know a lot of math professors don't want people having a powerful computer at their desk. They don't want a text machine. You can only have an actual calculator. Indeed, I do that for my classes. I bring extra calculators in, cheapo plastic ones, because it's calculator only. Not your cell phone, not all the other things, too many things to keep track of. So they may be difficult to find a true substitute. And that impacts on things because it means there's not as much pricing threat and challenge, which will require the producers of these things to change. Secondly, the supply. I would imagine there's not a large number of suppliers. Texas Instruments, etc., or whoever still they still exist as Texas Instruments, are probably the few producers of it. As a result, there's not a lot of competition. They probably have the market divided amongst various things. And without a huge profit, because 99% of students probably don't bother with one, or don't need one for all their majors, means that it's not worth it for others to get in. The oil business, the car business, the t-shirt business, etc., lots of competition because there's a lot of sales, a lot of room to get in. But there may not be with a graphing calculator, which keeps supply low and keeps the prices artificially high. Allows them to collude, if you will. I mean, not directly, but indirectly sort of collude on price. The other question, of course, is demand. It doesn't matter how cheap the item is to make. If I know somebody's still willing to pay me $100 for something, whether the price of producing it falls from $20 to $10, I'm still going to charge them $100 if I think they'll pay $100 for it. Right? It's just like a bad baseball team, right? They cut their payroll, but their prices are still the same. Why? People still go. Right? Chicago Cubs have stunk for 100 years. Why? Because they sell out. People go want to get drunk in the stands at Wrigley in the middle of the day. To each their own, I guess. But if I don't have to provide you with a good product and you'll pay, I'm not going to keep charging. Now, in this case, providing a good product, it's the same product, but as long as people are willing to pay, I'll continue to buy. So it's a small market The people that need it really need it. There's not a lot of substitutes, so they have what's called an inelastic demand. They're not very responsive to changes in price. So in other words, it's going to probably be a market in which if I was to increase the price, it doesn't hurt my sales much. If I lowered price, it doesn't increase my sales much. Right? You know, if I was an oil producer or a gasoline, I sold gasoline, and I said, hey, I'm going to lower the price of gas 5 cents a gallon, I'd probably get a ton more people coming in. If I lowered it by 5 cents and I got one more person a week to fill up with gas, where's the gain for that? That wasn't worth it. Same thing, if I raised the price by a nickel a gallon and I find one less person fills up, okay, but all those other people did, and look what I got for it. So, hey, there you go. So I think you're going to find for graphing calculators it's probably a very inelastic, very specialized market where there's just not enough market pressure, and the market structure types themselves, which are outside of control of producers and buyers, is such that force the prices to stay, relatively speaking, high where they are. But that is a guess. As for anything else, I don't know enough about that market to be able to tell you. Okay? Alright, but it was a good question. It certainly hits on some key economic stuff that we'll be talking about this semester. Alright, that's your Ask the Professor question. Keep moving on.